Welcome to another episode of the CIRS Group podcast. I am Barbara,
And I'm JC.
and today we're tackling a really fun topic. And by fun, I mean, I think we're going to be a little fired up. And those are fun. I think those episodes are fun. Today we are talking about urine mycotoxin tests. Urinary? Is it? They're testing your pee, guys. They're testing your pee for mold. And it is the TLDR is it's a waste of money and time and it doesn't tell you anything, but we're going to dig into like actually why that is. And it's just really frustrating when we see new members coming into the CIRS group who are saying, "Oh, I got this test. Can anyone help me understand what it means?" No, no one can help you understand what it means because it means nothing. All right, I'm done being upset. Let me get into the medical disclaimer. We are not medical professionals. We are patients just like you, although one of us is a shoemaker certified proficiency partner. I'll let you guess who that is. It's JC. Um, but nothing that we say should be taken as medical advice. Always consult your practitioner for advice on this. Although if they are recommending you take a urine test, I might second guess who your doctor is. How's that for an intro?
I mean, I think we can close the episode out now.
Okay. All right, here we go. Bye, guys. See you next
Bye.
week.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. One, because it's we're not talking about poop today, we're talking about pee, and that's different for us. We
Yeah.
talk about poop a lot, not pee so often. But also this is a really common, frequent question that we get. It's a really frequent question that we get. I got this mycotoxin urine test, and can you help me interpret the results? And to Barbara's point, no, we can't because no one can, quite honestly. So the one thing I will say as a pro to the mycotoxin urine test is that it confirms exposure. That said, it's not telling you what kind of exposure that you're in. So those different mold scores can light up based on your environment, surely. So if you're in a moldy environment, but it can also ping if you ate a moldy blueberry. So it just makes it really difficult to indicate any sort of like remediation or environmental changes that need to occur because it is such a moment in time analysis of the molds that you've been exposed to.
And to that end, it also can't even really, it won't tell you if you're actually sick from this or not. There is no difference between a healthy control or a person who actually has CIRS and is in mold. There's no, to your point, the inundation of biotoxin of mold can come from anything, in this case for urine testing. And it doesn't tell you if your genetic haplotype is susceptible, makes you susceptible to having CIRS because of it. It's not testing the levels of inflammation that you're dealing with. It's not giving you any kind of baseline that the blood work would give you. And again, there's just no difference between a sick patient or a healthy patient. Therefore, what the heck? What the heck is it telling you? What is that? I don't know what that is. I'm just going to be emotional today, guys. That's all that's coming out of me. JC will have facts, though. Don't worry.
I love it. I love hold your hoops. Hold my hoops, Barbara is my fave.
She is out today.
Yes. So to Barbara's point, 25% of the population has the haplotypes that make them genetically predisposed to CIRS. So that means, if you and your partner are in the same moldy home and you both do the urine mycotoxin report, you have CIRS genes, but your partner does not. If you do the urine test, both of you are going to appear in exposure. And so if you are in one of those relationships where it's difficult to get your partner on board with what you're experiencing, it's going to validate them because they're going to be like, well, look, we both had the same results, but you're sick and I'm not. So I see it as almost counter to a lot of people's goals with getting diagnosed and understanding that they're in exposure because it's not really indicating what's happening to you. It's just indicating what's going on in your environment. Ultimately, you're still going to need to get blood work if you do pursue CIRS treatment. So to me, this is like an extra unnecessary step that isn't really helping or contributing towards your ultimate goal of healing. And for me, I know when I started treatment, I was so broke. I was so broke. And so every dollar had to be spent so wisely. And I just don't see this as a wise investment to your long-term goals of healing.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with it, quite honestly.
Yeah, exactly to your point, because if the urine test is theoretically showing that you're in exposure and showing that you are sick with mold, which it doesn't, but let's say it does. Either way, you would also need the blood work to confirm the level of inflammation, which already confirms exposure and all the other things, the haplotypes, the whole deal. And then on top of it, where is the exposure coming from? You're still going to need to test your environment. That's, going to be your home, where you work, if it's somewhere different, your car, the gym that you go to, like all of these other places could be contributing to your exposure. And the only way to verify that is to start doing some actual at-home testing, which of course we always recommend the ERMI or the Hurts Me Too test if you're looking specifically for mold. Start with your home because that's where you spend the most time theoretically. And then, you may want to test your workplace as well if you spend a lot of time there and so forth. But either way, those tests already cover the things that the urine test should theoretically tell you, and you already have to do those other tests. So again, we're kind of repeating ourselves, but it's redundant, really, if it even works, which is questionable.
The other part of the urine mycotoxin report that isn't super helpful is that it's not going to indicate treatment. So all mycotoxins can be removed using biotoxin binders, so CSM, Wall-Call. And there has been media about specific binders for specific molds, but I haven't seen any research that shows they're more effective than CSM or Wall-Call. It's wild to me that we're just accepting this information at face value from what we see on social media. And I mean, that's a whole other conversation. If they provided methodology for, those infographics they're creating on social media, I would be much more open to exploring that conversation. But CSM has shown the highest binding efficacy time and time again with the data we do have available. So it doesn't indicate what your treatment will be. It doesn't matter which molds ping on that test result because it's not going to change the binders that you take. If you're following the Shoemaker protocol, you'll either do cholestyramine or Wall-Call.
Yep. And I will also add, since we're on the topic of like treatment, I have seen a disturbing trend of the doctors that do kind of they do accept and actually ask you to take the urinary mycotoxin test. They tend to also be the doctors that will not prescribe binders, but will actually prescribe anti-fungals, which, as we know from research that Dr. Shoemaker has done, which I will link in the show notes, that antifungals actually will wreak havoc in your brain almost more than like all biotoxins. So, like, why would it's just not the right treatment for what you're going through? And for some reason, doctors think that if you come back with moldy urine, it means you have fungi in your system or whatever. And like, that's how they're going to attack it. So, again, this is clearly not a Shoemaker certified doctor that we're talking about here, and or at least it probably isn't. And that's something also to be concerned about when you're trying to find a good practitioner.
Absolutely. And then another thing we talk about is, the blood work that we do is showing progress over time, right? Those innate immune markers are going to show progress over time. So you get it at the start of your treatment and then throughout your treatment, and you can see those numbers change to in range as you do remove the biotoxin. But with the urine test, it's not going to show progress in the same way. Even if you were it shows exposure. Again, it shows exposure, but even if you remediated your home, if you ate a moldy blueberry, it's still going to ping. So it's just really hard to suggest that anyone should do this because it's not diagnosing you, it's not indicating treatment, it's not indicating the exposure that you're experiencing. So to me, it's so frustrating to watch people go down this route. At the same time, I know some people, this is their entry point. Doing this urine test, it shows them they're in exposure, and then they go, well, crap, what do I do now? And then hopefully they stumble upon the Shoemaker protocol and they're able to like actually start doing testing that can help them progress through treatment. So if you just need that validation of like, yes, I am in exposure, and this would be the thing that helps you move forward, that's the only situation in which I could see this being of any benefit.
Right. And I think part of the reason for that too is like the urine test doesn't doesn't need to be prescribed by a doctor the way that blood work kind of does, at least if you want it to get covered by insurance. And insurance isn't going to cover the urine tests. So like you're paying, and what are they, like 300, 350 for these urine tests? Meanwhile, hopefully most of the blood work can be covered through insurance. So your bill, even though it's a ton of blood work being collected, shouldn't be that much. It depends on your insurance, obviously. But I think that lends itself to how prevalent it is for these urine tests to be everywhere because anybody can sell them on their website. I mean, I don't know what the rules are on that, but they're just
Should we sell them?
we'll sell them and we'll just instead of sending them the test, we'll just say, haha, this is a stupid tax. You shouldn't have bought this to begin with. But it like that, I think that helps with it's almost like these like not nutritionists. I mean, just the people who wouldn't normally be able to prescribe or order blood work for you, they're going to be the ones more likely to have you take a urine test because it's something that they can just put on their website. I don't know. Now I'm just accusing without actual evidence, but it just seems like that's what's going on, and it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. Well, I would actually like to hear people's experiences with the urine test. Was it your entry point to CIRS treatment? Did you find it effective or validating or contribute to your health journey in a positive way? Because I know that we don't have the best experience with them, and we're frustrated by it being a waste of time and money potentially for a group of people who have such limited resources to begin with. But if you have an alternative experience, I would love to hear it down in the comments, or you can reach out to us on social media. We're on Instagram at the CIRS group. And if you are looking for more resources and support and duration for any testing you should not do, you can always join us at theCIRSgroup.com.
We'll see you there.